Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Whether you're watching live or you're watching on demand on YouTube.com, I want to thank you so much for watching Dad Talk Tuesdays. It's where we talk about topics that are pressing to fathers and to men. We talk about any and everything about fatherhood. And today's topic, we're talking about stepfathers and how important that is when finding a spouse. And we're just going to have a nice, candid conversation about it. But before we get started, I would like to let you know a little bit about who I am, what I do, and so on and so forth. My name is Andre D. Harrison. I am the founder and director of an organization called The Roll Call. The Roll Call exists to promote fatherhood involvement and engagement. And our goal is just to eradicate fatherlessness. We desire to encourage dads to be the best dads that they can be. And I'm a father myself. So at the same time, I'm trying to encourage myself to be the best father I can be. And we just really want to be a blessing out there. The thing is, we believe that strong families build strong communities. And the only way we can have strong families if we have strong men to lead and be a part of those families. So there's a lot of things happening today, a lot of things pressing in the urban community, from gun violence to police brutality, so on and so forth. And I really believe that if we can just get men in our communities to commit to being more, I guess, stronger family men, then those families in our urban communities would tend to, become stronger. And if that happens, it's like cause and effect. It's like a ripple effect. Once the families become stronger, then the community will become stronger. So that's what we're all about with the Roll Call. I'm also the author of a book called From a Fatherless Father to a Son. So there it is right there. Now, what I'm going to do is, every now and then I'm going to do a shameless plug. I may mention it, or I may just, while I'm talking, pick it up like this. I don't know it. And it'll go just like that. But either way, this is a good book from what I heard. I'm going to tell you it's a good book because I wrote it. However, I heard it's a great book, and you can go on Amazon.com, search for From a Fatherless Father to a Son or Andre D. Harrison. You can purchase your copy today for $10. Also, if you look in the showcase on the side, I put a link there to Amazon.com. We also have a link to the Roll Call's website, therollcall.org. We also have a link to our YouTube page where we post videos encouraging fathers and families. So that's what we're about. That's what we do. We're about the family. And although we focus on fatherhood involvement and engagement, the goal is to build strong families. And we really believe that the building up of strong men will allow for that to happen. Now, today, let me take a sip of my coffee. These are for sale on the website too. I'm just saying, gotta get it where we can. All right. Now, today I have a special young man on the show today on Dad Talk Tuesday, and he's special for a number of reasons. Just because he is who he is, that's one. Two, I had an opportunity to know him as a teenager when I was a youth pastor in Rochester, New York, for a little stint. I'm gonna tell you, Rochester's a beautiful city. If Rochester was in a warmer climate, I would definitely move back there. Like, no lie, like if Rochester was like somewhere on the Gulf of Mexico, I would be living there right now. But it's not. It's like upstate New York, where, let me tell you about the first time we moved to Rochester. Let me tell you exactly what happened. We were living in Rhode Island at the time, and we drove I-90, I think it's I-90, all the way through to Rhode Island. And when we got off, is it exit 45? To take 495 is exit 45, right?
Yeah.
So we're driving down 90, we're getting off at exit 45, and the funny thing is, there was this huge snowstorm, huge, and it was so bad, it was like a blizzard, and it was so bad that all the exits after 45 were shut down. You could not drive past exit 45. So thank the Lord, exit 45 was open still, so we got off and went to Rochester. But when we got there, it was like snow all over the place, and it was undrivable. I'm driving this huge U-Haul and even went into a pole. I didn't do too much damage, but I no lie, I slid right into a pole. But other than the cold weather, Rochester is a beautiful city. Another thing, I've never seen an ice storm before, where everything was covered in ice. It's absolutely beautiful, but absolutely dangerous. Either way, I met a lot of amazing people in Rochester, made a lot of connections, have people today in my life that I still consider family living there. And Justin is one of those young men that I had an opportunity to meet as a youth. He had a desire to know about God and Jesus from a young age. And still to this day, he's proving to be an upstanding young man. And I'm really proud of him. And just recently, he got married. So yeah, if I had an applause button, I would be hitting applause right now. I won't tell Justin this, but I think he married up. He definitely married up, and I think Brianna got the short end of the stick of the deal. But I won't tell them that. But nah, Justin's a winner. Justin's a winner.
I got lucky then.
And I think that his example is a good one. Now we did have a couple of guys that was going to be on the show today, and one with a little bit more experience. But even just talking to Justin today, we can get some decent insight on what it means to be a stepfather, because he married a young lady who had a child already, and now it's like an instant family for him. So we wanted to talk to him about his experiences with the dating process of dating somebody with a child, and then marrying somebody with a child. Because when you are dating somebody with a child and then marrying them, it's not like marrying somebody and then building a family together from scratch. You're coming into a family already, so you got to fit into certain areas, and you have to, I guess, receive guidance on how to be a dad. You've never was a dad before. So I wanted to talk to Justin today about being a stepfather, because there's a lot of men out there who wouldn't do something like this. Like, they wouldn't fall in love with a young lady and then fall in love with the children and make a family instantly. Some men, and I'm not bashing men, but some men would run away from a young lady if she confesses that she has a child. But Justin is one of those men that didn't do that. He stood up and he answered the call to fatherhood by marrying Brianna, who already had a child, and now he's a dad himself. So Justin, thank you so much for being on Dad Talk Tuesdays with us.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, man. I really am proud of you, man. I really am proud of that.
Thank you, man.
So, yeah, I was invited to their wedding, but I wasn't able to make it to the wedding. See, funds were low at that particular time. I feel really bad. I feel really bad. I'm looking at the pictures. It was absolutely gorgeous. It didn't look like it was in Rochester, though.
It was. Yeah.
Very beautiful pictures.
Yeah, man. Nothing like upstate.
Yeah. Tell me, well, before we get started, because we haven't talked, in a little while, so we're gonna allow the viewers to be involved in our personal conversation real quick. How was the wedding? How was the wedding? Like, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the wedding, it was great, man. We paid for everything.
Cry?
I did not cry, actually. I thought I was. Actually, my wife cried. My wife cried, and she's not the crier. So it was interesting. We kind of flipped personalities right there, I guess. But I was just more joyous than anything during that. It was a short walk down the aisle because just the way the patio was set. So we have the inside, and then outside they had the walkway for them to walk down the aisle. And it was outside, and you can see the other surrounding trees and grass. It was just a beautiful sight.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, marriage is a beautiful thing. Now, let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Dating somebody with a child already, like, was it intimidating? Were you at any point in the beginning a little afraid and not sure what you was getting yourself into?
Yeah, definitely. Well, just to give a quick background, because I was born in Rochester, and I knew Brianna when I was a youth, and I went to Elam. It was a Bible college, and then from there I moved to New York City for 5 years. And during that time, I was just doing whatever I was doing, and we just kind of reconnected maybe 4 years after me moving, maybe 4 years, after moving. And then we just kind of started talking through Facebook and texting. And then we, phone calls, and then she came out to the city, and we just hung out. And that's when I wanted to pursue a further relationship. But our relationship wasn't in person. It was more or less, most of the time, it was long distance for us. So she was in Rochester, I was in New York City. So that's an added level of just complexity to it all, honestly, because I would probably see her maybe once a month, if once or twice, if lucky, a month. And sometimes I wouldn't see Giada, who is my daughter's name, because she'd be with her dad, because her dad is in the picture, which is great, but it does complicate things a little for me, in terms of, certain things I'm sure we're going to talk about later. But yeah, it wasn't easy. So once I moved and I got married, I instantly became a father that's now, who barely saw her, because I would see her, but now it's an everyday thing. So just a lot of readjusting, a lot of changing, and just seeing how selfish I really am, and just a bunch of things, to say the least.
Well, it's a growth process. It really is a growth process. And actually, just a little blurb about your experience in New York, and show you how small this world really is. I knew Justin as a teenager in Rochester. I'm from New York City. I'm from Staten Island, New York. And one of his roommates in the city was a very close friend of mine, David.
Yeah.
And I'm very close with his family. So it was kind of funny that you just landed in New York City together, roommate as a roommate. He was also Andy Minio's roommate as well, which is kind of cool. So, but I think that what you said is key about adjusting and readjusting. But you also said something, and I'm not sure if you noticed. You didn't say your stepdaughter. You said your daughter.
Right.
Like, what do you think of that word stepdaughter or stepchild or stepfather?
I'm still working through it, to be honest with you, because it's so brand new to me. Before I would say my wife's daughter, because we weren't married. Now that I'm married, sometimes it gets kind of uncomfortable. I'll be honest with you, when I'm with Giada, because she's 6, and she'll be like, "Well, you're not my dad," But then sometimes she'll say gladly, "I have 2 dads." Like, it's a cool thing. So it all depends on the day. So I'm still, when I'm talking to other people, I'll say she's my daughter. But then I'm still trying to figure out, how I should take on that, how I should speak in front of her with people.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to have a conversation with her, honestly, because I haven't really, we're still working through that.
Yeah. Have you and your wife had a conversation about
that? Not really. Not in depth. We should probably revisit that. But it's something that I'm constantly in the back of my mind, because I don't want to have that. I don't want to feel awkward, but at the same time, I don't want her to feel a certain way either. Because I don't like that term. I don't like that term step. Yeah. I don't know why. It just doesn't sound. It almost sounds like I'm kind of distancing her from any kind of responsibility from me marrying my wife, and now she's my daughter as well. And because of my faith, because I'm a Christian and the faith that I believe in, when it comes to adoption, I believe that because of my faith, I was adopted by God, and now my daughter is also technically, I would say, adopted. She may not take my last name, but she's still under our household, our roof, and I have a responsibility, a moral responsibility, a spiritual responsibility, and it's weighty, and just learning every day how to do this. It's obvious. It's honestly an everyday thing, because I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna mess up, So yeah.
Yeah, it's different when you have a baby and you have that baby from a child and you raise that baby up, and then you come into a family that's already that already has a child, and it's a lot different. And I think one of the things, and I too struggle with the word step, step,
right?
Because in the past, I've had the opportunity to meet young ladies that have children already, and for a while I was thinking to myself, if I was to ever get remarried, I would rather remarry somebody that already has children than somebody that doesn't have children. I sort of I sort of backtrack with that, and I say, no, Lord, whatever it is that you want, but I would always that was always in the back of my mind. Well, I have children, so how are we going to approach this if we was to get married? Because me personally, and this is me, I don't do the step thing. So if I was to get married to somebody that has children already, if they don't consider me anything other than a stepfather, that's fine. But I won't consider them my stepchildren. I would consider them an extension of my family. So even though they're not biologically mine, I'm not just marrying their mother. I'm making their mom my family. I'm making everybody my family. And and sometimes that word step could probably leave somewhat of a barrier between the parent that married into the family and the children. And what do you think about that? Do you think that do you get afraid of that term step parent and there being an invisible barrier between you and your daughter?
Yeah, I think you can easily, by having titles, almost kind of categorize things like she's my stepdaughter, so she's not my real daughter, so maybe there's some distancing that can happen with that phrase step. Maybe there's also a feeling of relief of not having to have the kind of responsibility or moral responsibility or spiritual responsibility, because I can kind of fall back on, well, I'm not really her real dad. I think that could be dangerous too, because again, like I said earlier, I was placed in a life that I'm required to be responsible for the grace and the things that God has given me, and this is a beautiful thing, because she's a amazing little girl. And, if anything, I could easily just, kind of take it not as serious and actually miss an opportunity and be an impact into, in her life, honestly, when I think about it. And just to be candid, my dad, now that I think about it, my dad actually married my mom, who already had 2 other children before. But he dropped the ball with that, with my 2 sisters. So I can kind of see a pattern. I'm not saying it's a bad one, but I definitely don't want to be like that, in the sense where you're there but you're not there. You're there but you're not present.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Oh, it's like, okay, I'm here, but not really my responsibility, because I'm still only your step dad.
Tune out.
Yeah. So how do you? And I know it's only in the beginning stages. How long have you guys been married now? It's been 4 months, right?
About 4 months.
About 4 months. 4 months. You guys are still in the honeymoon stage?
No, I don't think so.
Is she listening too?
I have my headphones on, so she can only hear what I'm saying. She can't hear what you're saying. She's smiling at me.
Yeah. Tell her I said hi.
He says hi.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you guys are at the place now where life is happening. Life is there. So some couples go have the honeymoon stage. It could be a little longer. They always say, and everybody says the same thing: the first 2 years of marriage is extremely difficult, and that's just if you're married. Period. When you have children that's already inherited within the marriage, it's an added stress. It's a whole nother level of stress. And I think that, as you said before, sitting down and talking about it would be probably the best thing. Best thing. Like me, like if I was to remarry somebody with children, it would be my ideal situation or my ideal scenario. Before I would seek to get to know the children, to see where I would fit within the family. I would gauge the type of relationship they have with their biological father, to see if him and I could have a cordial relationship, because I would have to recognize that I'm not their biological father, and the kid's priority, dad has to come first I come secondary. That's fine.
Right.
And also speak with my future wife about the role that I'm going to play in the life of the kids, and sit down and discuss it and talk about it. So listen, um, uh, I need to know. I probably speak to my future wife first. I need to know what role should I play. Okay, and then talk to the children's father, the biological father. Does he know me? And their mother's getting married, and I just want to sit down and talk with you so that I don't step on your toes and blah 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 blah, and so on and so
Right.
forth. And then speak to the kids, and even like, and if I had my way, I would probably ask the kids permission first, because this is a clear indicator of how the future could probably go. Hey kids, I really love your mom, and I love you guys, and I really want us to be a family. I'm thinking about asking your mom to marry me. What do you think? If they say, no way, no, we don't want you to marry me, I'm like, all right, I'm going. This is it. All right, fine. I get the picture, you know. But I think ideally communication, having a conversation with all parties involved would probably be good. I think you mentioned that. So that's something that you could definitely do.
Right.
And definitely see where Brianna is with that also. Now, when you were dating, has the conversation of um, being a stepfather ever came up? Like when you were dating, and or if it did happen, when did it come up? What stage of
So
the relationship?
so when we were dating and when we were engaged, when I would visit, um, I talked with my wife Brianna, and I was kind of, you know, with Giada there. We would kind of prepare her in a sense, say, hey, I'm going to be like, I didn't really ask like what you said, because I think she's just too young at the time, because she was 3 when we first started dating. Now she's 6. So, you know, I, I would tell her, I'm like, listen, I'm going to be marrying your mommy. We're going to be sleeping in the same bed, because she used to sleep in the bed with her and she would go into there. And, so she didn't really understand it. So I was just kind of trying to get her ready to know that I'm going to be in your life now. I'm going to be living with you. It's going to be a little weird, because she doesn't know what's happening. So pretty much I would tell her, like, hey, I'm going to be your other dad. I'll be your second dad. And she was like, what? I'm going to have 2 daddies? I was like, yeah, in a sense. And I'm like, told her that, I'll never replace your dad, obviously her biological dad who was in her life, and that's awesome. But then there's that whole double standards in 2 households. But I don't want to get off on a tangent. But with that being said, she would kind of just get ready for it. And I would just keep reminding her, that there are changes happening, to a point where then she would say, hey, are you guys married yet? So she doesn't, like, she wouldn't know if we're married. She would kind of just say, hey, are you guys married yet? And then we just keep explaining it to her. And then she got to the point where, last week, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago in church, I went to go pick her up from children's church out in the Father's house, the church I go to now. And, when I picked her up, Giada said to the teacher, oh, I have 2 dads. Don't worry, because they have a lot of security to make sure who picks up the children and everything. So, there's times where she acts like that she doesn't like me saying that I'm her dad, but then at the same time, I'll just mess around with her and joke with her, and then she'll start laughing, or, so she kind of plays hard to get, honestly. So.
Yeah, I think it's also a developmental thing. She's not accustomed to. The only father she's known is her biological dad.
Right.
And for a 6-year-old, it's a major step. Actually, for 12-year-olds, for 15-year-olds, it's a major step. It's a huge step.
Absolutely.
And that's like for me, I have 3 kids, and my kids live with me. So it's if whoever's marrying me have to understand that you're not just marrying me. I got.
Yeah.
And I hate to call them baggage, but in a sense, that's what it is. I have kids, and they live with me, so it's not like I'm a every other weekend dad. My kids live with me.
Right.
And if I get married and my wife lives with us, she's not just living with me. We're a family. And that's something. And my kids would have to get adjusted to that also. You know, and that's stuff that should happen, you know, in the very beginning of the relationship. See where each other's heads are, and then as a relationship progress, sort of I would probably throw whoever it is in the fire for a little bit. Hey, I gotta go to the store. Can you stay with the boys for a little bit? When I come back, when I come back, if she's still alive or if she's still there, that's a good sign. That's like, okay, all right, you know, she passed the first test. But being coming into a family is extremely difficult, extremely stressful, and it's from all parts, all sides. But how does Brianna, your wife, handle this? Because she, you know, this is her baby. So how does she handle uh, the blending of the two between you and her?
How does she handle it?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I think a lot in the beginning, I was very, and I think to a degree I still am. I'm getting better at it. Selfish. So there were, you know, I'll be honest with you, man. There were times, you know, where we're in the car and we're discussing this, and we're talking. You know, I'm talking about, hey, I'm gonna come into this family, and I'm gonna be, you know, a stepdad, and you know, sometimes we didn't agree eye to eye on certain things and certain topics, and what my role is and what she expects from me. You know, and sometimes we get into little arguments, but we talked it out afterwards. You know, because you know, she's been a mom since Giada's been born. You know, this is totally new for me. So my idea of things were totally drastically different from her, and she has her expectations on what a husband is going to be and what a father is going to be. Mm-hmm. Although Giada's dad is in the picture, you know, what's my role? You know what I'm saying? Like, where do I fall into play? So she's grown very gracious and patient with me. You know, because sometimes I have to, you know, I'll say things or I'll do things that are kind of stupid, and then Giada might get mad, or you know, Brianna might get mad, and I'll have to say, oh, you know what, I'm sorry, and then I'll say, listen, this is still brand new for me. I'm trying to learn how to, you know, be more patient. I'm trying to learn how to, you know, connect with Giada on a different level. So you know, just being more intentional with my time and you know how I interact with her and with Brianna. So Brianna, for the most part, has been really understanding and gracious with me, honestly.
She's laughing at you, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask this question. It's probably going to be a little bit of probably a tough question for you.
Okay.
Now, what's your daughter's name?
Giada.
Giada. How being her father is involved, right? Mm-hmm. And active and involved. Where does that? Where did you feel like that puts you, or where do you find yourself in that scenario, in that family, with her dad being as involved as he is?
Well, okay, so her father gets her every other weekend, mm-hmm. And so every Wednesday and every other weekend, yes. And she's with us the rest of the time. So, you know, I kind of try to keep my distance when it comes to her dad and myself. I don't want to interfere with anything. Yeah. In that sense, you know, like, you know, if Brandon needs me to do something, I'll do it. Like if she needs me to pick her up from school, if nobody else can, you know, I'll do that. But for the most part, when it comes to that sort of stuff, you know, her dad or her grandparents on her dad's side, you know, they'll pick her up or they'll watch her. But for the most part, I don't really have a relationship with him. And, you know, God's working on me with that, you know, just because personally, you know, just to be frank, you know, I personally don't like him for certain reasons that are, you know, a little personal. I'm not going to share. But, you know, I have to learn to, you know, kind of change my thoughts and my heart towards him, honestly. So, and then there's like different standards in each house. So when she's with us, there's more regiment, there's more discipline, there's more, we try to involve Jesus or God as much as we can. and we go to church. When she goes over to her dad's house, it's a little different. Although sometimes she'll go to church with the grandparents. It's just totally different. She'll stay up later. She gets to do more things, different things, and and for a little bit she would come back here, and then she would just respond differently, or kind of throw a fit sometimes over something that we wouldn't let her do that maybe she would have been able to get done, over there. So there's like that constant clash, and
it's
then
culture clash. You have one culture in your home.
It's a clash.
Yeah.
And the problem is sometimes, because kids are sponges, and I learned this the hard way. I kind of, I kind of said something about her dad, and she was in front of us, and I learned from that, like, never do that again. And she straight away went over and told him, and then he called up Brianna, and there was this drama. And I was like, great. Now he thinks like I hate him and everything. So I think down the road, I definitely want to mend that. I don't really know where it's gonna go, what it looks like. But yeah, it gets complicated. Yeah, honestly.
Well, another tough question. Do you think that it has anything to do with ego?
Yeah, absolutely. I could be very prideful, man. I'll tell you that straight up. Even if he has made changes and he's doing better as a man or even as a father, like, I'll be like, nah, he's still this and that, and I'm judging him, and I'm, being prideful. And I think a lot of it, to me, I'm thinking, oh well, I have this image of him based on what I was, my perspective of him based on certain things, in the past, and it's not always best to do that, so yeah, man, I pretty much don't interact with him at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that the ego thing is a very hard thing to break.
Yeah.
To be somewhat transparent with my situation, my kid's mother has a boyfriend who is pretty involved with my kids, and at first it was really hard for me to accept, because like, these are my children, and this other man now was involved with my kids.
Yeah.
And at one point, I'm not sure how he feels about me now, but at one point the truth was he didn't like me too much. And I'm the type of person that even if I have an issue with you, that's not gonna make me treat you badly or talk ill of you. Like, I'm the type that if I have my opinions of you, my opinions will stay with me, and so on and so forth. But ideally, I would love to have an even closer relationship with him. Like, for me, it would be amazing if I could go on family trips with my kids and even have them come along, and say, hey, let's all do something as a family. But sometimes egos get involved.
Right.
Pride gets involved. And one thing that I had to learn was that he's going to be in their life. He's going to be in their life. And I can make it extremely difficult, or I can make it easy for the boys. I could make it very stressful for the kids. Because the thing is, the fact of the matter is, whatever type of relationship that you have, or that I would have with my ex-wife's boyfriend or future husband, will spill over onto the children. And if I choose not to have a good relationship with him, or seek to have a good relationship with him, the kids are going to pick up on that. Then the kids are going to either resent me or resent him. And if I am in a place where I am instilling resentment into their hearts, then I am at wrong almost not almost, 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And I think that one of the lessons that we can teach our kids is how to get along with people, even if we really don't want to get along with them. And when you're looking at step families or blended families, that's one of the things that should happen, because it's tough to put the ego aside. It's tough to think, well, this is my child, and I don't want anyone around my child. And how often have we heard stories of women or men, mothers or fathers, who don't have custody of the kids, get upset when the custodial parent finally moves on with their life and meets somebody and they get married. You know, most of their responses initially is, I don't want nobody else raising my child. You know, I don't want anybody else around my child.
Right.
And that's a matter of ego. And it's not even thinking about what's best for the child. You know, it's just saying, well, you know, I don't want anyone around my kids. And sometimes the parent that is married into the family have the same kind of ego, where it's like, you know, well, you know, that was my ex's, that's my girl's or my wife's past, you know, and he should stay there in the past, or he should only have dealings with his child, and when he has them, and that's it. And realistically, it can't be that way, or it shouldn't be that way, especially for the child, because then it causes a lot of confusion for the child. It causes a lot of turmoil for them inside and emotionally, and it tears them apart. It's, you know, it's like when our kids go to mom, right, and say, "Mom, can I have this?" and mom says no, but then goes to dad, and dad says yes. They're splitting parents. In a sense, what parents can be doing when they're not together anymore, they could be splitting the child, you know, trying to make the child like one over the other. It causes confusion. It allows them to grow up with anxiety, confused, and it's not an easy thing. And that's one of the things that we should be talking about. How can we move from a somewhat stressful situation to a place of peace and mutual respect in a relationship that has to do with blended families? You know, it's a very, very tough thing. And you're young, you're new at this, and I really believe that you're going to get it. One of the things that I saw you mention a lot in this interview, which I wish you didn't have to do it so much, is you talk about your selfishness. You talk about some of the mistakes that you've made, you know, which is admirable and very humbling of you. You know, but I'm pretty sure that there's some things that you do amazingly as a new father, you know, that you probably never thought was inside of you. You know, you never thought, man, wow, I can really do this. Like this isn't all that bad. You know, I really enjoy doing this. You know,
yeah,
and it's a new thing. It's a very new thing. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
in relation to
Yeah, well, in the family and with your newly acquired daughter.
So she'll be 11 in 5 years.
Okay.
Just
probably just entering junior high school.
Yeah. I think I'm praying that by then I have a better grasp on things than I do now. That's the hope. That also she has a better understanding as well, and that I've done a good job with what I've been given. I'm hoping that in 5 years from now that I actually have a relationship with her dad, because right now there's none. And that's always been something on my heart, you know, kind of on the low. I told Brianna a few times, but just never, you know, done it. I just got to do that. But 5 years from now, hoping that Giada would understand, I guess, my intentions, that she would know that I do love her, that she is, you know, cherished and prized, and that she can come to me for whatever. Because, you know, I'm pretty laid back when it comes to things. So, like, you know, can talk to me about anything. So if she gets that, that'd be awesome. I can't make that happen. Something that, you know, she decides that, you know, she wants to do. As long as I, you know, obviously if I faithfully do my part in showing that, you know, that it can be, you know, that I am available in that way. You know, I told her, I'm like, listen, you never have to call me dad if you don't want to. You can keep calling me Justin, which she does. And who knows, you know, I have friends who have step parents who they ended up calling their stepdad their dad. rather by their name, you know, but mostly those are people who may not have had their father in their life at all. I'm not expecting that. But if it happens, it happens, you know. I'm not here to force anything, honestly. That's my perspective on it. I'm not going to force anything.
Yeah, and you can't. I think children are responsive. At that age, they're responsive. So they respond based on how they're treated by adults.
Right.
That's why some grow up to be very outgoing. Some grow to be very intimidated and scared. So they're responsive. So who they are is being molded by the relationship they have with people around them, particularly, the adults that are consistent in their life. So who they are. So if you keep doing what you have to do as a dad, then she'll respond the way she's meant to respond based on how you behave and how you act toward her. I think it's sort of like cause and effect with children. It's going to happen if if you do your part, just like you said. There was an article I saw a couple of months ago of a man walking his daughter down the aisle, right?
Oh, I think I know what you're gonna say.
And then the man went back. The father went back, got the stepfather, and had him join them in the front.
Yeah.
As they walked him down the aisle. No, as a new husband.
Yeah.
And a new father. How did that make you feel? Now,
that actually.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Just let us know. How did it make you feel?
Honestly, that video impacted me positively. You know, it's just one of those things where, you know, it's not somebody telling you something. You know, like, oh, you need to do this, that, and the third. You know, when she gets older, I'm actually seeing it. You know, I'm a very visual learner too. I mean, I read and stuff, and that's great, but actually seeing that kind of openness and graciousness and honestly all that pride. I mean, I don't know the relationship. I'm assuming they had some sort of relationship in order for him to do that. But I mean, that impacted me. The fact that her real father would, biological father would do that, walk down the aisle, open up another space for that stepfather to walk down the aisle with her. He's declared, like, he's stating something by saying, listen, you're just as much of a father to her as I was, you know? And I think that starts with, you know, and it made me think, I'm always being challenged on this topic. It always comes back to me, even through, you know, little random videos like that. It always just comes back to me like, man, you got to work out a relationship with her real dad, because that'll never happen unless you actually step up and, you know, do something about it. You know, you could start, I mean, we don't speak at all, man. You know, I'll be in the car with Brianna, and then, you know, she'll go get Giada, and then sometimes her dad will just put her in the car, and it'll be like sometimes no exchange between us, and sometimes it'll be a head nod or a hi and that's it. I mean, there's a few times where Giada is the one that kind of tries to bring us together, which is funny enough, because she would say, Papi, say hi to Justin. And then we're just like, I swallow my pride for the baby. You know, and then he was like, hey. I'm like, what up?
What up?
You know, like, it's so stupid. Like, when you think about it, you know, like, why? Like, it's kind of childish. It seems like Giada's not being the child. We're being the children, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And you know what? It speaks a lot that she does stuff like that.
Right.
And those are opportunities of learning for her. You know, because I'm pretty sure she knows. She's 6, so she's got to know, Dad and Justin don't really like each other.
Right.
So let me test them. Let me make them uncomfortable.
And she does a great job.
He does, yeah. So that's an opportunity for him. And I'm not sure if he's going to see this, or if you share this on your wall, and he may have a friend of a friend who may watch this. But if he is watching this, I want to challenge him also, like, for what's best for Giada, that if she ever does something like that again, that you guys both maximize on that opportunity, because that means that she recognizes you as a permanent part of her life, Justin.
Right.
And she wants dad to acknowledge that. So if she's saying, dad, say hi to Justin, she's really honestly saying, dad, Justin's going to be here for the rest of my life. So you guys are going to have to communicate somehow. You guys are going to have to get along, even if it's just for me. And it's an opportunity to really maximize, expound on, and grow. There's a lot that our children could teach us. A lot.
Oh yeah, man, I'm learning every day from her, man. Honestly, just how she interacts with life itself. I mean, like me and Brianna, we're like always, not always, but we're like stressed, and we're just like worrying about this and worrying about that, with finances. And then, Giada, just bubbly self, just wakes up. She's an early morning riser and just like jumping around and laughing and, ready for life. We're just like, oh my gosh, But then I thought, we thought like, man, she's so carefree. She every moment she's living, she gets to enjoy it. And just for us to think about that, like, man, we shouldn't be distressed about certain things. We should actually be carefree in a sense. Not saying that we don't have obligations, but just little things here and there that children are like. It just kind of offsets things in a good way. Like it just kind of makes you reevaluate yourself or your life.
Well, even we can look at it deeper in our relationship with God.
Right.
Giada doesn't have a care in the world because she trusts in the provisions that her mom and fathers are going to provide for her.
Right.
So she doesn't have a care in the world. She can wake up carefree, and then we become adults, right? And at one point we had that same kind of faith in our parents, and then when we first got saved, we had that same kind of faith in our Heavenly Father. And then life kicks in, responsibilities happen, utility bills start coming in, rent start coming in, and start comparing the bills with the income, and it's like it doesn't match up. And it doesn't match up in the sense that we got more income than bills. It matches up. It doesn't match up the opposite way. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I gotta work even harder, and so on and so forth. But in her eyes, she doesn't have to care about that because she's trusted in you guys. Right. And in a sense, that's how we should be with God. We initially we shouldn't be caring too much about what's coming to us because God's going to provide that anyway. But realistically, it's difficult to do that.
It is
very difficult. And in an ideal situation, we wouldn't have to, but we do. And
sorry, man. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I was just thinking about what you were saying about how she relies on us without a care in the world. I'm sure, she has certain obligations that she has to do when we tell her to, when she doesn't like to do it, and she's learning that. But she's carefree at the same time. And then there's us who kind of, like you said, we kind of just forget that we have a Heavenly Father who supplies all of our needs, who, he's given us everything. And, I was thinking about that scripture while you were speaking that says, be anxious for nothing, but in all things through prayer and supplication. Make your requests known unto God, and then the peace of God that surpasses all understanding would guard our hearts and mind in Christ Jesus. And I think a lot of times because of the things that we think we can do, because we are able-bodied and we work and we make money and, we're able to get things done, we think it's us that's doing it, but it's really God's gracious, providence, and he's given us good gifts, and has made us stewards. And I think that, we can easily say, oh, well, I'm doing this, I'm good. But then when I try to, think, well, now I can't get us out of this, I'm going to feel the weight of that, when I should really cast my cares and my burdens on Jesus, who, cares for us. And I think we easily forget that he's our Heavenly Father and our provision, not only our provider, but our provision. So, I think we look at him as just a provider, giving us things, but he himself is our provision, for ourself. And, it's good to think about, man. When you say stuff like that, it's a good reminder, Yeah.
So we have about 10 minutes left. What I want you to do, all right, is let's fast forward. She's 6 now.
Right. 6.
Fast forward 10 years from now, right? And
16.
the person making her Sweet 16 video for a montage, all right, is looking for footage, right, from you guys, from her dad and her future stepmom or whatever, right? So we're going to take this opportunity right now for you to look in the camera and say something.
Great.
Say something to her right now that would be an encouragement to her.
But she's 16 in this.
Well, oh no, she doesn't have to be 16. She could actually be 6 now. But think about maybe this airing.
She's watching this 10 years from now.
10 years from now, yeah.
Oh man, something encouraging that I would say to her on the video.
Yeah, something encouraging from your heart.
Yeah.
How you're doing as a stepdad, anything.
Wow. All right. This is probably the most difficult one for me, honestly. I think I would say to you, Giada, is it's been an interesting first 4 months of getting to really know you on a personal level. But is my microphone muted right now? Oh, yours is. Okay, sorry. As I saw the icon, so sorry about that. All right, rewind. So it's been an interesting four months, and the past that we've hung out sporadically. But in the 4 months that I've gotten to know you really, deeply, I've realized that you are very outgoing. You're very joyful. Nothing really brings you down. When you get, disappointed or you're sad, you actually get over it really fast. You don't hold grudges, which is something I noticed. That's going to really, be a good characteristic and trait when you get older. Because one of the things that I think that I regret is not being able to forgive fast enough with people that hurt me or let me down. And knowing this at such a young age, such an amazing characteristic and trait. The fact that you're so outgoing and you can make friends so easily. You just make friends easily. You talk to everybody, every kid, no matter their age, even if they're younger than you. You hang out with them and you help them out. And I asked you, what are you grateful for Thanksgiving, this Thanksgiving? And you said, are you grateful to be able to help people? And that kind of heart now, that probably really has nothing to even do with me at this point. This is something that I think is instilled from God, your heavenly Father, from your dad, your biological dad, and your mom. I can't wait to see how you're going to turn out in 10 years based on just this right now. So, thank you for being open to accept me as a second dad, and hopefully I can help in whatever way that I can.
Okay, good. Now the reason why I muted is because if it detected any sound, it'll go. The screen will go to me. So I didn't want that to happen.
Okay.
So yeah. See, and that was beautiful. Is your wife back there crying? She has tears.
No, she's not crying.
Okay.
Are you crying?
No.
Okay. Well, her eyes look a little watery to me, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So it's good that I think it's good that she heard that too. It's good that she heard it. Yeah, but and actually, I'm looking forward because you're the type of person that grows. Like, I think you look at your situation and you look for ways to improve your situation, and that's a humbling trait. And you didn't. Not once did you say, well, everybody is a problem. You look internally and say, if things aren't going right or things aren't the best idealistically, it's probably because of me, and that's a good thing. And whenever somebody has that kind of mentality, they're looking to make their situation better and improve their relationships with people around them. So you keep that up. You keep that up, and then watch God do something really beautiful in your life, in Giada's life, in Bjorn's life, and in the life of her father. And I can see you guys really clicking and being one big, very happy family, with Giada being the center of that part of it. And then you guys are going to have your own kids and your own children running around, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I do want to say that I'm very proud of you. Glad that you're able to talk to us so candidly about your situation. And there's probably a lot of other young men and young women, for that matter, that will watch this video and can relate to the words that you spoke today. So I appreciate everything you said. I do.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So 55 minutes have passed since we started this show, Dad Talk Tuesday. Now, we're going to close off. Do you have any closing remarks at all? Anything that you want to share?
Let me try to think. I did, but I don't know if I can remember. I would say that, like, because you said there's people who may be my age or younger or, things like that. I would say that, I wouldn't be intimidated by it. I think that's one of the things I was intimidated by it, thinking I wasn't good enough or thinking that, I won't do good. And, those things are lies. I wouldn't believe those things because ultimately God gives us the grace in certain times in our lives to be able to do certain things that we couldn't do otherwise unless we stepped out in some kind of faith or action. And I guess, secondly, be open, have an open line of communication, be honest. If you feel that you have shortcomings or you feel like, that you're not going to do well in certain areas, like talk to your fiance or your girlfriend or your wife, whichever stage you are, and, just tell those things, be honest and be open about things. Also, if you have a relationship with God, to have that, to bring those things to him. Find other people who can, who are married and who have kids who've been through it to kind of shed some light and, give you some good advice and some counsel. Because that's very, very important. You don't want to just live, in an island by yourself. You want to get as much help as you can, because it's very weighty to know that it's more than one life. It's not just your life anymore. So that's all I got to say on that.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Justin.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't plugged this the whole show because I was just engaged in the conversation. But From a Fatherless Father to His Sons, available on Amazon.com. There it is. Make sure you guys get your copy. That's my name right there. All right. Make sure you get your copy on Amazon.com. What else? There was a couple of things. Next week. Now, usually we do the Dad Talk Tuesdays every second and fourth Tuesday. We didn't do it on the fourth Tuesday in November because we just weren't able to do it. So we did it today. But next week is the second Tuesday in December. So we will continue the Dad Talk Tuesday next Tuesday, the 8th. We may try a different format. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of blab.im. I think it's called IM. Either way, it's a new format. We may try that format. So guys, make sure you guys look on our website, therollcall.org, our website, facebook.com/therollcall, ROLE. Take a look at our YouTube page because we're going to be announcing it there also. And even our Google Plus page, because we'll be letting you know which format we will be using next week, either the Google Hangout or the Blab. You may try that for the first time, see how it goes. I had a chance to watch a conversation yesterday on Blab, and it seemed pretty cool. But I don't know, I'm not too familiar with it, so we'll see how that goes. So next week, and the next week's topic is going to be when is the best time, and how do we talk to our sons about the topic of sex and relationships. It's going to be a good conversation. It's going to be nice, all right? And I'll be mentioning some things from my book, From a Fatherless Father to His Sons, available on Amazon.com. Go get your copy. And we're going to be talking to a few fathers who have older sons and talk about how they went about talking to their sons about sex, all right? So Justin, thank you so much. Brianna, thank you so much for allowing me to have your husband for an hour. You can't hear me, but if you watch this, thank you so much. And if you're watching this on youtube.com and watching it on demand, thank you so much for watching. God bless everybody. Have a good night. And until next week, later.